In this video, we're going to look at how to find the length of a line segment. So a line segment is a part of a straight line. Now it's a line segment because it has a start and an end point. So how do I find out how long that line is, what the distance is between it? Well, the best way to do this is to form a triangle. So I'm going to extend this down and across, and that forms a right angle triangle. Now the length of this side is 2. The length of this side is 2. So I have a right angle triangle which has 2 sides of 2. Now how do we find the longest side in a right angle triangle? Well, if you remember rightly, this is called the hypotenuse. And hopefully that rings a bell and says to you, hang on, I need to use Pythagoras' theorem. Now Pythagoras' theorem, as you remember it, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is always the hypotenuse and a and b are the other two sides. So this is 2, this is 2, and I'm trying to work out c. 2 squared is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 is c squared, so c must equal the square root of 8. And from previous studies, you should know the square root of 8 is 2 root 2. So the length of my segment is 2 root 2 units. So I formed a right angle triangle, worked out the length of this side, the length of that side, and used Pythagoras' theorem. Right, we're going to do another example now, and what we're going to do with this example is we're going to have a look what happens when we are not given a diagram. So sometimes you don't actually have a diagram and you're just given 2 points. So how do we do this if we are given 2 points? So if you were asked to find the length of the line between 2, 3 and 7, 10, well, one way to go about this would be to sketch a diagram. I'm not going to do that because I know I don't have space to go all the way up to 10. So what do we do? Well, remember we want to form a right angle triangle. In this case, the right angle triangle will be this side, but that's not important. Now, this is the x values. My x values have gone from 2 to 7. How far have I moved to go from 2 to 7? I've moved 5 spaces across. My y values have gone from 3 to 10. How far have I moved to go from 3 to 10? I've gone up 7 spaces. So here's my right angle triangle. Now I'm able to use Pythagoras' theorem. So 7 squared plus 5 squared is equal to the length of my line squared, which I can call c. That's 49, that's 25, and if I add 49 and 25, I get 74. So the answer is square root of 74. That's what we call an exact answer. We can look on our calculators just to save time to see if that simplifies. It doesn't. Or you could work it out to 3 significant figures by pushing the SD button on the calculator. But that is the best answer you can give because it's the exact one. Right, so if we remember that our answer to this question is root 74, I'm going to introduce you now to the formula to finding out the distance between 2 points or the length of the line. So how do I go about doing this? Well, remember what we did. We looked at these two here and we looked at how far apart they were. Well, in reality, what we did is we took 2 away from 7. So I actually did 7 minus 2 to get my 5. I then did 10 minus 3 to get my y's. I then squared them and added them, and then I square rooted the answer. So how do I make this into a formula? Well, in maths, we use subscript to denote different points. So this point here is x1, y1. This point here is x2, y2. And I'm going to use those 2 points to find a formula. So what did I do? I took the second x value and subtracted the first x value. So I did x2 minus x1 and squared it. I then took my second y value, which I'm calling y2, and I'm subtracting my first y value, y1, and I'm squaring it. And then I am square rooting the answer. And that there is called the distance formula. It's how to find the distance between any 2 points. The difference between the x's and the difference between the 2 y's. Now it doesn't really matter that I did 2 minus 1. But if I do 2 minus 1 on my x's, I must do 2 minus 1 on the y's. Just make sure it's the right way, it's the same way around, because when you square a negative, it becomes positive. So it doesn't matter if I do 1 minus 2, but traditionally we do x2 minus x1. And that is the distance formula.